Boom, we're back. It's not Sunday though, it's Monday. Um, I I really wanted to interview this buddy of mine, and we worked out our schedule to make it happen for Monday. I've been following him since high school. He's a fellow San Franciscan, born and raised. He is a creative YouTuber. He has his own YouTube channel. I mean, we're going to focus on that, but I really want all of you to know kind of his background and how, to a certain extent, how he got to where he is now and where he's going to go. He is the creator of After School, a YouTube channel with 1.4 million subscribers that aims to enhance profound ideas with art. We're going to get to see a little bit of that. So After School covers a wide range of topics that you won't usually hear or see in like a traditional classroom setting. We'll talk about how that was for him. With, he covers topics from sacred geometry to magic mushrooms. I give to you all the one and only Mark Wooding.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yo, thanks for doing this again. We haven't touched base. We haven't touched base since high school. And in high school, we only crossed paths. Mind you, it was a large high school. And we're going to get into that. And just kind of introduce yourself real quick. I already did a quick intro, but just say what's up to folks at Real City Ambassadors.
That was a great intro. When you were saying it, I was like, who's he talking about? A lot of times I don't even know how I got here. It's just real, like just life in general. But you look exactly the same as you did in high school, like I said before.
Thank you, man. That's good. Bro, well, you haven't changed either, which is a good thing.
Haven't evolved at all.
And here we are, man. Here, let me just pull up. I have a message for you, and that's going to be our first. This is how we're going to start our conversation. So look, I'm going to send a photo. I'm going to share it with the public. Does that ring a bell? And if it doesn't, that's fine.
That rings a bell for me. I don't think it'll ring a bell for anybody else. But
let me see. Let me have you take a stab at it.
Wow, you did some research. So
I did a little bit of research.
So I was drawing before I could even walk or crawl. My parents would just throw down a paper, and I could barely hold the pen. So I hold it like that. And from the point of being a toddler all the way to like second grade, that's how I held the pen. And my teachers were like, you need to change. And all my first paintings, everything, I actually wrote everything backwards as well. So my teachers were just like, this kid's a lost student. He's a lost cause. I wrote everything backwards. That's why my company's called Cram Gallery, because it's my name backwards. All my old art was KRAM. So like, even to this day, I can like read backwards almost as well as I can read forwards. It's kind of like this weird thing in my mind.
That's incredible.
I can't read that well, so.
But what you do read, you read well. Okay, so the story goes, and I got a hold of Dylan Murphy, and I'm going to read from the IG. He says, but I remember once when we were little kids playing soccer at the park, we went back to his house or my house with my brother, and we started he started messing around. He started painting, drawing, and all kinds of shit. And you drew the Sockets dragon. And it was like the best thing he's ever seen in his life in 10 minutes. And then he and his brother tried to recreate it all day after that and couldn't come close to it.
Wow.
But he said that one thing he remembers that you were holding your pen or pencil like that.
I should probably try to go back to doing that and see if I can still do that. Yeah, I actually remember that at Nick and Dylan's house. Yeah, those are good times.
I know. So tell us about where you started in school. Since we're in the top childhood. Yeah,
so I love what you're doing with your city theme podcast. It's good to see San Francisco getting represented by the locals. It's kind of like the unsung voice.
Yeah.
And I was born and raised in the city. Went to public school the whole time. Then went to Lowell with you.
What elementary school though?
Rooftop. Yeah. K through 8. It's probably.
Let me bring it up real quick. This one right here.
That looks familiar. Yeah.
So tell me about Rooftop. What was it like for you? I mean,
I was really blessed to go to Rooftop. It's like you don't know how blessed you are until later on. You go out into the real world and you see how things really are. But Rooftop was like, it was so diverse. And from day one, you're in an environment with so many different people that you kind of just think that's the way the world is, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I've taken that mindset onto my life. Like, I'll talk to anybody. I'll talk to like a homeless veteran. I'll talk to like an entrepreneur. I'll talk to like I'll talk to anybody. And I think that's something I got from Rooftop, where, you know, we hear the term echo chamber a lot, where people get in these like little bubbles and they just hang out with people that kind of reiterate their own ideas back to them.
Yeah.
Something from Rooftop is we were so different. And when you're around different people, it actually makes you more creative, because I think that creation is, you're kind of connecting all the dots of experience and you're synthesizing it into one thing. And so I was really like, I travel a lot, and each time I travel, I try to bring something back, like the art from Japan or images from Egypt or South America, you know, I try to fuse it all together.
But you know what's funny about growing up in San Francisco, and you nailed it, you get exposed to other cultures, like, you know, not necessarily only from books, but from the people that you speak with. You know, I went to elementary school in Chinatown, brown kid, spoke only Spanish to that. I was born and raised in San Francisco, moved to Mexico anyways, came back, and I was like, all of a sudden, damn, I got to learn Cantonese and learn about Chinese tradition, you know? So again, yes, going back, then traveling made me realize that I was in a bubble, and we were in a bubble here in San Francisco. So you did K through 8, right? What was middle school like for you? Even though it's the same school, you know, all of a sudden now you're just kind of more aware of who you are, the people around you. What were you involved with, or what were things you were passionate about?
I'm very thankful for everything that's happened. Man, I'm trying to remember Rooftop. I remember there was a lot of like bullying and like funny teasing going on, and those things like really like prepare you for chaos later in life, you know, getting bullied and like, I didn't get bullied that much, but there was a lot of chaos at that school. And but the good side of Rooftop, I remember they really encouraged artists. They had a really strong art program. That art teacher from Rooftop has been messaging me constantly since Rooftop. We talk all the time. We still have I have no relationship like that with any other art teacher.
Can you do a shout out? Or
her name is Cindy Sugawara. Yeah, shout out to Cindy Sugawara. And, I'm still, you know, it's weird how you never forget the kids and the parents of your friends from like elementary school. Like I don't really know any of the parents from Lowell, like high school. I don't know any of my friends' parents from college really, or after college, but all the parents of my friends that from middle school and like elementary school, like they're almost like my second parents, you know?
Really?
We still keep in touch. I don't know if that's normal, but
that's I maybe not, but it sounds like it was a really close knit group of people at Rooftop.
Yeah, I think the class was only 60. So coming from that to Lowell, where it wasn't quite as diverse and it was huge, you're kind of you go from this little artistic community to you're just thrown into this giant abyss of Lowell.
Yeah, was that kind of like a shocker for you? And like, did some of the folks at Rooftop go to Lowell?
We did, and we made a little pact actually.
Oh,
when
yeah?
Lowell, we're like, all right, you know what? We were like little enemies. We had our feuds at Rooftop, but when we go to Lowell, we're gonna be best friends, and that worked out pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, over there at Lowell, I think you were part of the WOMP crew.
Oh God, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
What is WOMP? You can say anything, you can curse, it's fine, bro.
I haven't thought about this in so long. WOMP is our last names. It's the first letter of all our last names. And, I still keep in touch with these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all went our different paths, but we're all still homies.
But you know, and I remember like crossing paths with you mainly like at a cafeteria or like outside. Here's another photo that I pulled up real quick from Lowell High School. You know, so you still keep in touch with folks.
This is a funny picture because I got suspended the last week of school, so I didn't even graduate. So I was all bummed, and my whole family was pissed at me. And
what did you do?
I was like, you know what? Even though I'm not going to graduation, like I still went to the school for 4 years and worked my butt off. Like they're not going to take this away from me. So I still put on the gown. Showed up. They wouldn't allow me to go in, but I still pretended. I was like, I still graduated. Like,
are you kidding me, bro?
Down.
Oh, so, bro, your parents must have been hella pissed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So look at you, man. Look at you over here being a rebel. Yo, by the way, Elaine Chen is tuning in. Elaine Chen, sorry. She says, "What's up?
How you doing?"
I think she's Elaine, are you or a year below? I forget, man.
This is interactive.
All the years started like crisscrossing. I forget. I'm getting old. That's what's happening. I'm 30, bro. But look, I wanted to show this photo. Well, it's really an article online, but you know, people knew you were inclined in the arts. Like all your homies knew that you had a gift, talent. But then this really kind of made you stand out. Tell me what that story behind you creating artistic pieces on shoes was all about.
Man, you are like, I'm having to dig deep to answer these questions.
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to do, bro.
You know, it's crazy how the world works in cycles.
Yeah.
And like, you know, this happens in what, 2005, this happened. And this year, the same author, Heather Knight, I got in touch with her and she's like, how's everything going? And I'm like, I'm actually a YouTuber now. And she's like, let's do another story.
Get out. I'm going to pull that article as well.
Yeah, these things work in cycles. The shoe thing was cool because I guess that was pretty much my launching point. So from this article, I got a bunch of emails from one was from a company that's based out of San Francisco called Timbuk2. They make like biker bags.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to draw on their bags and then auction those bags off. So I did that. And then that turned into an actual internship. So
are those bags online somewhere?
I'm not sure. And it's weird because my mentor at Timbuk2 was named Andrew Chow, and that is the inventor of boba guys.
Whoa.
So when I was at Timbuk2, he was telling me about his ideas about boba guys, and we were looking at logos for boba. And it's weird. We went our separate ways and we both did different things. And now it's like, it's crazy to see how big Boba Guys is, you know?
Wow, that's incredible. So did you work with him to create the design for Boba Guys or?
I didn't make that logo, but I remember looking at like mock-ups of different logos. And I remember how much he liked that one. And I was like, I don't know about that anteater thing. How does that relate to Boba? But he liked it and it works. So.
Cool. You know what I just found online right now? Just kind of dabbling. So this is you, right?
This is my old website. Yeah.
Nice. So do you highlight here some of the work you did with Timbuk2?
God, I haven't looked at this website in so long. I'm thinking about taking it down because I still get emails from it and.
Well, let's talk about, so what I just saw though, that I do want to talk about. So here's an example of the shoes that you were customizing for people.
Yeah, I still have those.
You still have those?
I think I still have these. So
did you just get the homies and you painted their shoes, or did people start buying them off of you? How did this all unfold?
The good thing about painting on shoes is it's like an advertisement for itself. Like you paint one pair of shoes, you get 5 more calls from other people. It's almost like what I do with animation. You make one video, like 10 other people contacting you about making a video for them. So it's like it promotes itself.
And who's a KT?
That's my friend from college, Kevin Tang. These were for a party, a blacklight party.
Nice. Right. Oh, so you still kept doing this into college or?
Yeah, actually in college, this was like how I paid for my groceries and I was doing like 2 or 3 pairs of shoes a day.
What?
I think I sold each pair for like $50, $60.
Bro.
So there was a time when it was like really cranking.
You were a non-entrepreneur.
It's one of those things that you can't scale. Like, you can only create so many shoes, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with videos.
And so let's talk about getting into the videos. But before that, I'll just highlight the your after school.
It is.
The one and only.
There it is.
Like, well, where did the idea come? How did the name originate?
So in college, I studied art at UC Santa Cruz, and I somehow got into video editing. I was forced to take other classes besides art at college, and I fell in love with video editing. And when I got out of college, I was like, all right, how do I combine these two skills? And I got put onto a project where we were making an online class for veterans about PTSD. And my job was to make that class more entertaining. So we'd like record a teacher, and then I would try to edit that video and make it more entertaining. And I just started kind of experimenting with recording myself drawing, and the students loved it. And from just doing that, that exploded into like one demand after another demand. People wanted more videos. Then my second video was about how to like properly put on a condom, and that went big. So
no pun intended. Okay.
I was kind of like shocked that all these people wanted video. It was similar to the shoe thing. Like, you just try something and then people like it. And like, there's a lot of things I tried that nobody liked.
Can you name some of those things that you tried that nobody liked?
I tried a custom toilet bowl company.
A toilet bowl company?
49ers logo on a toilet bowl, and we'd have like a customized shower curtain with like a customized plunger. Like it'd be like a Giants themed plunger with like a baseball at the top of it. And that did not take off. And
what else have you tried?
Gosh, so many things. I had an idea for a video game where it was like Guitar Hero, but for public speaking. So you would be like Martin Luther King, and you'd try to say his speech. And this would be to get you better at public speaking. Kind of like a game and a skill creator. That kind of fizzled out because I didn't know how to make the game. But that's just one of many.
So I want to show a quick video so people really can, if they haven't already tuned in, because you only got 1.4 million followers, but if they haven't seen this, and don't know the type of art that you do, here's a damn good example. Let me pull it up real quick. I'm not going to put any sound because I just want to talk over this, and I want to like kind of learn about your experience, because I know you flew all the way out to France. Tell me about this experience, being hired by, was it UNESCO itself or is it another company?
Man, this is another one of those experiences that when I got there, I didn't even know how this happened to me. Like a lot of these things happen and I'm just like, this is crazy. I don't know how I got here. So I got an email. I didn't even know if it was a scam or what. They said, we want to fly you out to France. I'm like, are there a million other artists in France that can do this? But, one of my mantras is some people see difficulty in opportunity. Other people see opportunity in every difficulty. So when opportunity comes around, you got to take it. You got to say yes. If everybody gets a few opportunities in life. You got to jump on it. So this was like a no-brainer. I'm like, all right, even if it is a scam, I'll be in France, like whatever. So I show up, like I didn't even know if they were ready for me to come. I go to the gates, I got my bags. I'm like, hey, I'm this artist, and they're like, they have a list, like, who is this guy? Eventually,
this is a scam.
But this piece was surreal because you can't see it, but right next to me, in this lobby area, this is right across the street from the Eiffel Tower, there is a mural that was done by Picasso. It's like right next to my mural.
Whoa.
And I'm just like tripping out because here's Picasso, and then I have no business being anywhere near a Picasso mural. So, and this was supposed to be taken down and destroyed when I was finished. But they decided to preserve it. So they I guess they put hairspray on it, which preserves it, or in some other things. So it's still there in that building. I think it's not in the same place, but it still exists.
So how did you get invited? Did you know some of the people that were involved in this project? 1 and 2, did they vet you, or like, did you have to draw something that said, this is what I'm going to do the day of or the days of?
I think I remember being really surprised by how much freedom they gave me. They just I just showed up, there was a board there, and I just started drawing stuff. And I took a lot of feedback from the audience. Like people would walk by. I think the whole flag thing on the top left started, I was like, draw my flag. I was like, all right. And then once I drew that flag, then somebody else came up, no, you got to draw my flag. And then, you can't leave it.
Was there a Mexican there? I don't think there was a God damn it, Mexico.
I'm sure Mexico's on there. I wouldn't miss that one.
I think I see a little eagle right there. Yeah. So then what happened? It was very interactive, what you're saying. It was more like a call and response sometimes. Is that?
I'm sorry?
Was it like a call and response, sort of like, what do you think about this? Or, because you said you were getting feedback.
One of the cool thing about this this youth forum was there was 2 ambassadors from every country, and I think each person was under the age of like 24 or something. Wow. So there was 2 young people from pretty much every country on earth came to this thing. It was like a UN gathering. So it was funny how like different cultures interact with the art. Like most cultures stay really far back, and they'll take a picture from like 50 yards away. But some cultures just get right up, they'll grab a piece of chalk and they'll start drawing your thing, and you're like, oh, okay. Like,
really?
I try not to like be too much of like a perfectionist with these things. So I'm like, okay, like I'll turn whatever you drew into like something else. Like,
Kudos, man.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you something about, God, I forgot. I was going to ask you a question and I totally blanked.
It'll come back to you.
It will. But, you people look at you like, oh, you got 1.4 million followers, but it really was a grind. I was reading up on some of the conversations you've had with people. Can you tell us the story of how you got in the beginning? How did you get folks to subscribe to you, to get to know who you are as an artist?
Well, as you know, with this podcast, with any creative endeavor, getting started is by far the hardest part. Yeah. Like just getting started is like, it's like this huge stair. You got to get on that first stair, and then the next ones are just regular size stairs. But just getting to that past that first stair is so difficult because you don't even know where to start, And I kind of just followed my intuition. I had, if you want the full story, I got kind of screwed over in business. I was a freelancer for 5 or 6 years after college, and that was going really well for a while. I did projects for like Facebook, Intel, Johnson & Johnson, like pretty big companies, and the money was good, but every job was exactly the same, where I was just trying to please, a few people within that company. Like I wasn't trying to really make art, please, and make a couple people happy. So like my heart wasn't in it. I had a mantra when I was making these videos, like just get it done. The name of the game is just get it done. Like it doesn't have to even look good. Just make them happy. And they would have the dumbest requests, and I just do it because that's what you do when you want to get paid, I guess.
Yeah.
And, I was thankful for, I'm still like, I didn't have that much to complain about. I'm still doing art and getting paid. Like, how much can you possibly complain about that? But as a freelancer and an individual, sometimes you get screwed over and there's nothing you can do about it. Like you can either sue or you can just accept it. And I got asked by a presidential candidate in 2016 to do a video for them. And I'm not into politics. Like I don't want to latch onto either side.
Yeah.
But it was a big opportunity.
Whoa.
And, when opportunities come around, I'm like, you don't say no. So I moved forward with it. Did a lot of work. Long story short, the project got dropped and I didn't get paid.
Wow.
And so it was kind of a battle over getting paid. I lost and had to just suck it up. And I was like, you know what? This is a sign though. Like, you never know if anything's good or bad in the moment. Like now I'm really glad that happened.
Yeah.
That gave me the final push to just be like, look, I'm done with this for a little bit.
Yeah.
Let me give myself a year to pursue something different. let me switch gears. So that's in that moment, pretty much that week, I was just like, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. And I was like, that first step is the hardest. You're like, is it gonna be about science? Is it gonna be about history? Like, what am I gonna do? And I just landed on after school because it's so open ended.
Yeah,
you can talk about anything, and it'll fit under that umbrella of after school, right? And the first couple of videos I made were really like anti-capitalism.
Let's go back.
I was pretty bitter about what had happened to me, and like I was like, you know what, screw capitalism, screw the system. I gave myself 1 year to hit 100,000 subscribers. I'm like, I'm gonna say no to all the freelance jobs for 1 year, give myself 1 year, and just keep my head down and create and stick to a schedule. I'm gonna post a video every week, and I'm gonna do that for 1 year, and let's see what happens. So I tried all these different techniques to grow the channel. In the beginning, like literally just going out on the street and getting people to take out their phones and subscribe was the best way. Like I'm like canvassing. Like, what are you trying to get me to sign up for? No, it's a YouTube channel. You know, outside, like Pizza Orgasmic at 2 a.m, drunk people online. And I'm like, hey, do you have a YouTube account? No. Do you have a Gmail account? Yeah. Here, just get your phone out. And like, I get all these random people to subscribe. And so my goal was to hit 100,000 subscribers at a year. And probably 6 months in, I wasn't even at 1,000 yet. Wow. So I'm thinking like, I'm getting a little deterred at that point. I put in all this work. Nobody's watching the videos. It seems like it's kind of a bust. The channel doesn't really have a sense of direction yet. I'm just kind of reaching. I'm looking. I'm trying to like chase what's popular. You know, I'm not really paving the way. So I'm like, oh, people want to see that. Let me try to do that. So I didn't have my own like identity yet for the channel. But if you keep trying, eventually something takes off. So my first video that did well was the millennials in the workforce.
I was gonna say, which one was your breakthrough? And I saw this one had 5.5 million views 3 years ago.
So yeah, that one, I guess it just touched on something. And this was one of the first ones I did that wasn't written by me. This was a much longer video, and it was taking audio from somebody else. So I think latching on to this guy's success and helped me kind of piggyback off of his name. And then he shared it.
Gentleman.
This is Simon Sinek. So he loved the video, and he shared it all over the place. And that helped and all of a sudden, like, you know, it took 1,000 or it took 6 months to get to 1,000. And all of a sudden in like a week, I had like 10,000. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, here we go. This is how you do it. So I'm like, let me replicate this. So I did one for Joe Rogan, and then Joe Rogan shared it. And then you get another 20,000. And you're like, oh, okay, this is now I have the formula. And then it's weird how these things happen. It's like,
can I backtrack real quick?
Yeah,
I just want to, what attracted you to this speech? Because, you know, it's about, the way to summarize it, like our generation doesn't have the patience, you know, because we're distracted by so many things and we want to be rewarded quickly. And so can you tell me a little bit about when you heard this speech or this conversation, you connected to this and you said, I want to do this piece. Can you walk us through that moment? And like, why do you think, you know, aside from the resharing, because that made a big part, how did you, you know, you put your all into this video?
Yeah. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I think I just heard it and it really resonated. And sometimes I can see the words as visuals, not with all speeches, but sometimes. And this one, I really thought that the animation would enhance the message.
Yeah.
A lot of speeches are very personal, and it wouldn't make any sense for me to draw that person over and over again. Yeah. But he kind of touched on so many things that that's when the animation really enhances the message. When you're covering all sorts of different topics, it helps the person keep a focus, and it helps them put the words into a visual. Most people are visual learners, you know?
Yeah.
Some people are audio, some have to do it, some have to read it. And this format kind of combines all 4 learning styles.
And it's genius because I don't know if you knew this, or now it's a topic of conversation. Like, oh, the attention span is so short. Attention span is so short. I don't know if you already knew that, or you just felt like this was the type of message you wanted to get across in like 2 to 4 minutes. Was there a formula or this one's 12 minutes, but was there a formula?
Well, you know what's weird is the attention span is really short in some regards, but it's weird how podcasts have really emerged, this. So I don't know if this requires a really long attention span to listen to a podcast, but it's interesting how podcasts have just like taken off in the last 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So, I guess maybe people are craving something more real, like just a real conversation instead of like sound bites.
Yeah. And so speaking of podcasts, going back, I know you touched on it, but I want to come back.
Right.
What relationship do you have with this podcast and Paul Stamets or Stamets?
Yeah, so I watched the Joe Rogan podcast. Probably 1 out of 10 episodes I watch. I don't watch every one. There's certain guests that I see and I'm like, I got to watch this one. It's funny. Another Lowell student, he shared this with me. Spencer McDonald. He sent this to me. Like, you should animate this. And when I heard it, I was like, this is big. Like, I got to do this. It was that same feeling when I heard the millennial speech. You hear something, and the second you hear it, you're like, all right, this is going to be gold. I get that feeling a lot now these days. Earlier on, I was like reaching for it, and now I'm always like, all right, this is going to be good. This is going to be good.
And the topic of conversation was about magic mushrooms or medicinal mushrooms, however you want to name them.
Sure.
Was that something that? Well, have you tried them?
I have.
Yeah, me too. And you know what? They're a great experience. I think everything's got to be taken the right time, right moment, but it can be a good journey for people to kind of see from within, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't like force them on anybody. But if people want to try them, they're to me they're not like a huge commitment.
Yeah,
they're not even a drug or anything. You don't have to like synthesize them or do any kind of chemical alteration to them. It's just a mushroom from the ground and you eat it. And it's amazing that they would have that kind of psychoactive impact just from the ground. You don't have to boil it or do anything. And I guess my experience with mushrooms is like, it was, at first I saw it as more of like a party thing. I think I did it when I was 18 for the first time in Amsterdam. And it was almost like a party thing. And I didn't do it for like 8 years since that. And then I guess I kind of just eased into it. I don't do them that much, but I have had great experiences. And I feel like one of the best things that you get from psilocybin mushrooms is it really just kind of takes away any fear you have. It really just suppresses fear, or it makes you kind of confront the core of the issue,
right,
and go head on into your fears and just annihilate them. And I heard a really good analogy from the author Michael Pollan about what mushrooms do to your mind. Is like if your brain is like a ski slope, and your neurons are kind of like the tracks that skis leave behind when you go down a track. And like the more people go down that track, the deeper the groove gets. So like, let's say you smoke a lot. Well, that neural connection is like a really deep groove in your mind. And when you take psilocybin mushrooms, it's like fresh powder. So a lot of times when you take these mushrooms, things that didn't make sense before suddenly make sense. And the funny thing is, a lot of things that used to make sense no longer make sense. You're like, why was I doing that?
Yeah.
So it makes you think, it pulls you out of your daily routine, and you can kind of see things from a bird's eye view.
Yeah, and I remember seeing, for example, Joe Rogan talking extensively about it. But I want to just talk about seeing him reshare your video. I don't know if it was on social media or in what outlet, but I said to myself, that looks so familiar. Like I've seen that art piece before. It's like, can it really be? And I looked into it and I saw it was you. I was like, holy crap, that's what's up. Because I also listen to the Joe Rogan podcast here and there. So, I thought that was pretty amazing. And so how did it feel when you finally got to this point?
Oh, man.
What happens when you reach 1 million? Do you get like an email? Do you get a phone call from YouTube, or what happens?
So actually, the CEO of YouTube, she gives you a call. And no, I'm just kidding. Good story.
I would have believed it, bro. I don't know. I've never reached 1 million.
I guess 1 million, it was so surreal. Like, I never even thought I was going to get to 100,000. And then, I don't know, the million, I was living in San Francisco when I hit 1 million. And I remember walking up to like the top of Twin Peaks just by myself. It was at like midnight. Yeah. And I just stood up there and just like looked out at the view for like, I don't know, an hour, just like trying to process what was going on. Cause I don't know, like, you got to be grateful. Yeah. But it's so surreal. I'm like, how did this happen? How did I get here?
Yeah. And so like, what kind of, let me see this one right here. So we'll talk about this in a little bit.
For sure.
Just kind of stay back and talk about after school. Like, where do you see it like evolving? Do you like this formula? Because I've seen the Mike Tyson one that you did just recently. Is that like, is that really enjoyable for you to look at quotes and really identify with them and recreate them? Or are you thinking of other ways of using after school?
Well, I think a lot of people relate to after school videos because I'm not like this master teacher or a PhD. Like I'm not an expert in anything. So I find these ideas that I find to be really interesting, and I try to distill it down in a way where I can understand it and communicate it almost to like an 8th grader. So I'm taking these really kind of complex, abstract ideas and trying to filter them down so they're visual and they're really easy to digest, but not in a way where it's like I'm telling you how to do things or behave. The story of after school is kind of just almost like the story of my own evolution as a human. And I think we're all going through a very similar journey. Some of us were at different points on the same path, but we're all kind of trying to improve ourselves and figure out who we are as people. And after school is just kind of like my own personal journey. Like you can see from the first video to the video now, there's been a lot of evolution. Like I look back at those first videos and I'm like, I would never do something like that again.
What in the most recent list of videos that you've created, is there one in particular that stands out, or there's a story behind one of them that, just well, you know what? Let me bring up this one. You have this, and this was older, but I also want to talk about this. Why did you make a book? I was like looking up, I'm like, whoa, wait, hold up. This one created a book. Why don't country flags use the color purple?
So fortunately, I have these videos as kind of almost like a testing ground to see what ideas really resonate with people. And this was a topic that I wrote down. I have like hundreds of things that I write down. Like I'll be writing on the train, BART, and I'll look around and I'll be like, why is this tunnel like this? Write that question down. Why do people walk on 2 legs? All these questions. Or I'll have a conversation with you, and I'll probably after this conversation, I'll write down like 3 more things. And I'll take those questions and I'll look on the internet. Has anybody answered that question? And if 1,000 people have already answered the question and has millions of views already, it's already saturated. But this question, it was so weird that nobody had answered it before. It's like, it's one of those questions that you never think about. And then when you see the question, you need to know the answer. So, this video, it was weird because I put it out on my channel. I had about, I don't know, like 150,000 subscribers at the time. This was pretty early on. I put this out and I remember I was at an airport and my phone was like blowing up. It was like, I was looking at the views of this video and I called my friend who worked at Google. And I'm like, dude, I think there's a glitch. Like this video has 1 million views. That's insane. What's going on here? And he's like, I don't think it's a glitch. You're on the trending page.
No way.
So I got off the flight and the video had 4 million views. So it just, if you look at my YouTube analytics, Like if you zoom all the way out and look at like the entire history of my channel, it's like a line, and then there's just like this peak that goes insanely high. And that was that one day where I guess it hit the trending page, and I got over 100,000 subscribers in that 1 week from that video. So the good thing about
what's the answer?
Well, if only there was a video or a book, right? Yeah.
But, okay, so we're gonna look for the answer in a little bit. But as I'm looking for it, why did you make why did you make an actual book instead of keeping it digital?
Forgetting to answer your actual question. Since this video did so well, I was like, all right, clearly there's a high demand for this particular topic. So I was pretty lucky to have a neighbor who was a Pulitzer Prize winning author. His name's Matt Richtel. And I was like, what do you think about this idea? And he's like, his little daughter was in the room. She's like 7. Mm-hmm. He's like, honey, do you care why no country flags use the color purple? She's like, I love purple. Purple's my favorite color. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, I was like, well, why don't I make purple like characters? Why don't I make the colors characters in the story, expand upon it? So then it becomes like this adventure story of the colors. And it really gave it like another element. And it actually teaches like some life lessons, like not to make fun of people because you don't know their full story. Like everybody makes fun of purple in the beginning of the story because purple's not on any flags. You know, like red and orange are like, I'm on all these flags. How come you're not? And then in the end, we find out how special purple is. And that's, you know, at the end, purple's like flexing.
It's flexing.
Purple like thinks they're really cool. The character purple. So
is that the octopus?
So this book hasn't really sold that much. I wasn't planning on like getting rich off the book, but it is really nice to have a book. I've got like 1,000 boxes of these books at my house, just stacked up. But it makes a really nice gift, and a couple bookstores are selling it locally, even though they're kind of all closed down. Mm-hmm. The West Portal Bookshop in San Francisco has been probably my biggest backer of this. We were going to have a big book party there, big book launch. And unfortunately, due to the whole pandemic, we weren't able to do that.
So I'm not going to answer the question then, because I have seen the video. So I'll let everyone go and find the answer. It's a 1 minute. What is it? A few minutes long. You'll find out why.
Yeah.
It's a really neat story. I was not expecting that. So I want to go to talk about this real quick and what memories you have with this space and where is it?
Man, that's Beach LA. That's after it's been remodeled.
Yeah. And there was a controversy around it. And the reason I want to bring it up, you know, it's like a conversation about the two cities that we live in right now, you know. People were saying that they didn't want to rebuild the soccer field because they were fighting for the city's soul. But, the other folks that look at it differently.
It's funny because these soccer fields it seems like a small deal. Oh, it's just a soccer field. But it's actually kind of a magnifying glass on a much bigger issue that was going on in the city. So one thing that kept happening is you'd have kids that had no money at all that just want to play soccer. And then all these tech companies, all these tech workers would start these soccer leagues. So they'd have like a game, Facebook versus Dropbox. And it's a public field, but then they would rent it out to these, they're not evil people, but they would pay to be there. And then it would constantly happen. They'd have a permit, so they had every right to be there. They paid. But all these kids who couldn't pay were then kicked off the field. And this would happen all the time. So I guess these soccer fields started to become like kind of there was a few videos that went viral of just kids saying, this is our field, this has been our field forever. We've been playing here. I think, you've probably seen that video. That was the mission. Yeah, it's like 2 blocks from where I live now. I don't know the guy's name in that video, but he actually went to Rooftop, the main one talking. So, how I got involved was I just love playing soccer. And initially with this issue, my dad is involved in local politics. He wanted to keep these fields in Golden Gate Park grass, natural grass. Mm-hmm. And I was actually in favor of turning them into turf fields, because with grass, the field's always closed because you can only play on grass like an hour per day. It's all torn up. But with turf, you can play on it as long as you want. And so initially I was like in favor of the turf, and my dad was in favor of the grass. And and they did this kind of article about how it's like 2 generations. Like my dad is the old way that's getting kind of kicked out, and I'm like the young tech person that's, moving this agenda forward. But, I think the article kind of took things out of context and made it seem me and my dad were really feuding when we weren't at all. But since then, I really am not a big fan of turf fields anymore. Like if I could go back in time, like I love playing on grass, and I feel bad that a lot of kids now don't get a chance to play on grass, because I don't know, when you play on grass, you have this like refreshed feeling when you're done. And even if you have like dirt and grass on you, you still feel like pretty good. Yeah. And after you play on turf, you have like these plastic little BBs all over you. It doesn't, and it's kind of hard on your joints. This is like a whole nother topic. Yeah. But it's just really on grass.
I mean, that says a lot about your character, right? At a point in time, you had this idea, and you were fully supporting, the idea of having turf, and then you adapt or you change. I know there was a quote that you tend to reference: "It is the mark of an intelligent man to play with an idea without accepting it." So at the time, you might have, you played with the idea, and to you that seemed like the solution. Fast forward 6 years, now you have a different perspective, and it's based on kind of your experience. Can you tell me about just kind of how that quote throughout life?
That quote means a lot. I think about that quote a lot, actually, because we're so polarized right now in society. We're so divided, and it's almost like you have to pick a side.
Yeah. What
side are you? If you're not on this side, you're on the other side. And I've kind of got this mentality like, no, I don't need to pick a side. I can make my own side. Like, I no longer get clinged to any ideology. Like, I want to learn as much as possible, but I'm not going to like latch on to any one ideology and claim that as my identity. Like, I don't do that anymore. And, if you're wrong, you're wrong. You actually make yourself more credible by admitting you're wrong. I've been wrong many times on the YouTube channel, and there's no worse feeling than when you put a video out to 1 million people and you get like 100,000 people telling you that you're an idiot and you're wrong. So then, you can either kind of hide in your little hole and you can buckle down and try to fight them, or you can say, you know what, I was wrong, and you go from there. So, yeah.
Now that's a real city ambassador. So let's maybe kind of just to wrap it up. I always ask the same 3 questions to everyone I have on the podcast conversation, what have you. Your favorite restaurant in San Francisco? Can you shout them out? Or at the moment, what's your favorite one?
Favorite one. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is La Corneta.
Which one?
La Corneta in Glen Park.
Okay, the original one then.
I go there probably twice a week, and I don't have to say anything. They just know exactly what I want. And
yeah, I know. And they branched out and they're in the Mission now, but I know they have some smacking burritos for sure. And what's your favorite plate?
I always get a vegetarian burrito.
No way.
It's like really simple, just rice, beans, and like all their veggies, and it's great. There's also a restaurant called Lavash on 7th and Irving. Shoot, I don't know. Levash. V instead of B. Like V as in van. Yeah.
Let's see. Here you go.
Yeah. Ooh, this is my soccer teammate's restaurant. And I'm like,
Where is it located?
Really trying to support his restaurant because I know that it's been tough, like, and they're really trying to hold on through the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And like, I talked to him and I know how hard it is just to like stay in business right now. And every time there's another restriction, it's like they're so close to falling off the edge and going out of business. And it's so important that we support businesses like, Lavash and all the other family-owned ones. Maybe they are slightly more expensive, but actually they're pretty reasonably priced. But the food is awesome, and you're supporting like a family, and you're keeping them alive in the city, and we need that.
I love it. Your favorite park?
Golden Gate Park is like the one I can think. You can get lost in there. Yeah. I love it.
Love it. And what's your favorite street?
Probably my street. I don't know.
Where do you live, bro? What's your street?
Favorite street. I like the Great Highway a lot.
Nice.
Like, I feel like if you're a local, when you went to high school on the west side, like the farther out west you go, the more things slow down. Like when you're east, you're in Soma, you're in downtown. There's all sorts of concrete and metal and meter maids, and it's just like I feel stressed out. But when I go the farther west I go, the more I'm able to just like, okay, this is comfortable. This is soul food right here.
I love it. That's great, man. That's a first for sure. Cool. Mark, man, thank you.
Dude.
Yeah, bro. Do you have anything else you want to say? I know you also just moved out, but I'm pretty sure you have the spirit of San Francisco everywhere you go.
Well, I just want to say to you, thanks for having me on, and congratulations on you buying that house, and thanks to you for staying in the city, because it's like people like you that make the community wholesome and grow. And a lot of these tech people, or the super rich Salesforce Tower people, they could care less if they're not really invested in the community. They'll leave if a pandemic happens. That's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
They'll pick up and take their stuff wherever can serve them. But it's like the locals and the natives that stick it out and that make the community.
Yeah, we want to grow ambassadors, people that have your experience, my experience, and others' experience that are, true to this area, whatever truth may be to them, right? So I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Awesome.
All right, my brother. Take care, man.
Take care.
All right, everybody.
Peace.
Have a good Monday. Peace.